Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a quick look at the Wuben X3 Owl. This is a pretty uniquely designed tactical ultra bright LED flashlight that, aside from having a white light, there is also a emergency SOS red light, and because the two bulbs are positioned next to one another, it kind of looks like an owl's eyes. You also have a Qi wireless charging pad down below, so you can pop it onto any standard charging mat to quickly top it up. A 3000 milliamp hour capacity battery can provide up to 100 days of usage when on the road. A max 700 lumens can be reached, plus comes in various colors that are quite customizable, and there's even an optional battery case for it that you can dock it inside, kind of like wireless buds, to provide even more endurance when on the road. Here's an example of the head rotating 180 degrees sideways, so that owl name is really fitting. The white colored version is even glow in the dark, so you can quickly locate it even if it's not being turned on. Again, there is just so much attention to detail in all aspects of its construction that makes it perhaps one of the most high-tech flashlights that I've ever seen. There's even a small OLED display that can tell you the battery percentage and the brightness output, and also it's waterproof. Like most tactical flashlights, 1 meter impact resistance as well, so it should survive slightly more rough terrain and outdoor environments. If there's a bit of rain around you, no worries there. The maximum range, by the way, on the brightest mode is over 100 meters, so this can, again, stretch a pretty insane distance if you are in darker environments, despite the tiny size. Packaging is also done in a pretty tasteful, interesting way. The back here just reiterates some of the specs, including the distance that it's able to reach under the different modes and the brightness levels as well. It actually flips open like so, using magnets to reveal the X3 on the inside here. And there's just a quick user guide, and aside from the actual W3, there's also a separate compartment that includes a charging cradle, which looks something like this, and that is to align with the magnetic pogo contacts at the very bottom of the X3, so you can dock it inside like this, and then charge it up using USB Type-C to increase the water resistance. There isn't a conventional port built directly onto the X3. Very similar to on rugged smartphones that we have seen in the past, and of course you can use Qi wireless charging instead if you prefer. You also get this super durable looking lanyard that can double as a measuring tape, and you can hang the light onto the strap here on the side. But this is actually the charging cable, believe it or not. So you can pull on this and it provides you with a standard USB Type-C to Type-C cable. But I love the fact that it's also having this measuring tape dual functionality, which is very thoughtful, something that I've never seen before. Now just a closer look at the X3's construction. There is a polycarbonate frame just to allow for the glow-in-the-dark nature and also the Qi charging to be possible. However, the top here is all constructed out of metal. Otherwise, the LED bulbs are of course fully covered up by a piece of glass, and the translucent nature also makes it look quite interesting. You can almost see some of the circuitry and electronics on the interior, which is quite neat. You can then twist on the head like so to rotate it up to 180 degrees, hence again the owl name, which is quite fitting. Again, this thing is super compact compared to something like an average smartphone these days. You get a better idea. It's almost like a lighter in terms of size, but has a good heft to it. Otherwise, if we tap on the button on the top here, that will turn it on, including the OLED display. You can check out the battery percentage remaining, and this is the minimum 1 lumen output that it can provide. You can then tap on it again to turn it off, as well as double tap on here to go into a turbo mode up to 700 lumens all at once. It becomes almost blinding. Even in the super bright studio lighting, it has no issues in terms of piercing through a lot of the neighboring lights, which is crazy. Double tap again to turn it into the previous mode. We can also long hold for another second to toggle into a slightly brighter, moderate 50 lumen mode. Hold on it for a few more seconds to go into 150 lumen mode, and then once more returns back into 1 lumen as the default. Other controls include triple tapping to go into a strobe mode, SOS basically, and we can tap on it again to go into a slightly slower strobing pattern. Now you can also tap on the button 4 times to put it into a lock mode when it's turned off. That means even if you accidentally tap on the button, if it's in your pocket, it's not going to turn on until you tap on it 4 times again to wake it up. So there's kind of a child lock function. Furthermore, tapping for 5 times will turn on a blue light accent on the inside of the polycarbonate frame that makes it slightly more interesting looking in the dark. Just to serve as a reference, so you can partially see through again the plastic there if you're trying to locate it. It is smart enough, by the way, to remember the last mode that it was on, so when you first turn it on again, it will resume the previous setting. Alternatively, long holding on the key for a couple more seconds will trigger the red light, and from this point it starts off with the similarly 1 lumen mode, but similarly you can long press for a few more seconds to trigger the brighter 80 lumen maximum mode for the red light. Now you aren't able to turn both the red and the regular LED light on at the same time, so it is either one or the other, but I think mostly that makes sense because if you are blending them together, it's not going to create a huge impact unless you want even more brightness, but to be fair, 700 lumens in most cases already is plenty, and of course it also prevents the thing from draining too quickly or getting too hot, since with just one light at the maximum mode, it already gets a little bit toasty or warm, I should say, at the top. Never really overheating, but just something to quickly keep in mind. Now here's also a quick demo of the Qi wireless charging, which does require it to be kind of facing down here on a pad, but it will then proceed to top itself back up. And here's also a demo of the magnetic function, pretty much working as expected. I should also mention that all the shortcuts that we saw there from before, including double tap to go into the turbo mode, can be activated even when the device is on sleep. So although at first it may seem a little bit complicated to master the double, triple taps, as well as long holds for the various profiles, you definitely get used to it quickly, and it's nice that you don't have to go through an entire cycle or loop to get to those modes if you are using it in a hurry. And honestly, if we wanted to go crazy, you can argue that maybe if they have a version that has an app in the future, it could be even easier to toggle through some of those modes via a companion app on a phone, but that would also eat up a little bit more battery and may not be absolutely necessary in my opinion. Not a very steep learning curve, I would argue. To serve as better illustration, we are in almost a pitch dark hallway, and this is what the 1 lumen output minimum mode looks like. Now if I long hold again, it goes into the 50 lumen mode, so this is the difference there. And if I long hold again, we'll get into 150 lumens, as well as if we double tap, this is the maximum 700 lumen mode. So it almost turns it into a daytime-like scenario in this maximum brightness. Similarly, here's a quick demo pointing it outdoors at some trees, as well as the maximum 750 meter mode, and now we have a distance of, again, around 100 meters or so in front of us, illuminated. So there we have it. That's been the Wuben X3 Owl. I have to say it's perhaps the coolest flashlight that I've ever seen in terms of all the small design details that make it just such a distinctive look, as well as stacked with useful features, including various ways of charging it. It's super durable and also has a very bright output. Again, easy to recharge and just take on the road if you're camping or just need something to help illuminate objects better when in the dark. You can check out more details if interested in the links down below. For now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the X3 from Wuben.